Dear learners, welcome to today's MOOC. In the previous module, we have discussed about morbidity, its trends and patterns in India. Today, in this module, we will discuss about interrelationship between population growth and environmental changes. Following are the objectives of today's presentation. To introduce you to the interrelationship between population size, distribution, and composition with environment. To discuss the same in context of India, followed by the state of Assam in particular. And to explore the initiatives taken by policymakers. Dear learners, let's begin with the introduction. Population growth refers to the increase in number of people over time, and environmental changes refers to the change or disturbance or alteration often caused by human interference and natural ecological processes. In this presentation, however, we will retain our focus only on human activities and their influence on the environment. Two specific areas of convergence between population and environment can be seen in the form of land use and global climate change. In order to fulfill the requirements of growing population in terms of food and infrastructure, land has to be put to intense use. With increasing demand, deforestation has become apparent. The consequences of deforestation as a means to clear land for agriculture and settlement for land grabbers can be rightfully inferred from the Amazon forest fires of 2022. On the other hand, global climate change has occurred due to three most important factors: carbon emission due to industrial production and energy consumption, changes in land use, and agricultural processes like livestock and paddy cultivation. In the recent years, there has been rise in global temperatures. Dear learners, now let us look at how population size, distribution, and composition influences the environment. The Earth's population doubled from 3 to 6 billion between 1960s to 1990s. It resulted in numerous positive changes like decreased child mortality rate, increased life expectancy, improvement in health and nourishment, increase in migration, and so on. But it also brought irreversible changes to the environment, which was a flip side of all the positive outcomes. And it is directly or indirectly related to population growth, size, distribution, and composition. Pollution, depletion of resources, rise in sea level, heavy pressure on land, land degradation, deforestation, habitat destruction, and loss of biodiversity started becoming rampant. Now, let us discuss how population size impacts the environment. As the global population continues to grow, pressure on global resources like arable land, potable water, forests, and fisheries have increased. Now we will discuss about population distribution. High fertility rates in developing nations compared to low fertility rates in developed regions is a major indicator that still 80% of the world's population lives in less developed nations. Moreover, availability of employment opportunities internationally has increased the flow of migrants from one place to another, comprising 2 to 4 million people per year. But much of this migration is from rural to urban pattern, which has again resulted in rapid urbanization in the cities. There are three main implications of population growth on the environment. First, to cope with the growing demands, less developed countries put pressure on their already dwindling resources. Second, migration puts pressure on some local environments and relieves strains from some other environment. And thirdly, urbanization in less developed regions outgrows the development of infrastructure and environmental regulations. Now we will discuss about population composition and how it impacts the environment. Young people from 18 to 24 years of age are expected to migrate more than the older ones. In terms of income, the developing countries exert more pressure on resources as a means to generate an intensive source of income. Apart from this, increase in technology has also influenced environmental changes. The degradation of Central Asia's Aral Sea basin can be taken as an example in this regard. Aral Sea, that used to be the fourth largest lake in the world, experienced a drastic reduction in its size as a result of extensive water diversion for irrigation projects. Dear learners, now let us discuss on population growth and environmental changes in context of India. India's population is 17.76% of the total world's population, which marks the country at the second place amongst the most populous countries in the world. Rapid population growth in a developing country like India is frightening because it has led to reckless urbanization and industrialization at the cost of destruction of natural habitats. As of 2023, urban population of India amounts to 36.4%. Therefore, pressure on the available resources becomes a regular yet a very concerning phenomenon. To fulfill the growing consumption of this population for food, energy, and housing, land use practices have considerably been altered. India's forest cover is severely degraded. Intensification of agriculture supported by technical development such as HYV seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, and agricultural implements, etc., has put pressure on the limited land resource. Other environmental effects like groundwater contamination, surface water contamination, shortage of safe drinking water, demand for energy, poverty, improper waste management, immense stress on land, biodiversity loss, and global warming are growing concerns owing to the increasing consumption levels. Let us now discuss all of these consequences in details. Groundwater contamination. Groundwater is exploited due to shortage of fresh water, which has led to its rapid declination. Uttar Pradesh and Delhi reportedly found toxic concentration of uranium in groundwater. Surface water contamination. There are three main sources of water pollution: domestic sewage, industrial effluents, and runoff from activities such as agriculture. According to Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change (IPCC), river water pollution is the biggest threat to public health. The diseases commonly caused due to polluted water are cholera, diarrhea, hepatitis, and typhoid. Dysentery, guinea pig worm are other forms of diseases which are caused by polluted water. Over 400,000 fatalities are reported each year. Scabies, leprosy, trachoma, and conjunctivitis are diseases associated with water scarcity. Moreover, water pollution is responsible for the death of aquatic flora and fauna. Shortage of safe drinking water. Access to safe drinking water and proper sanitation is both a right and a basic need. It is almost non-existent or inadequate. The situation in rural areas is much worse. Over 85% of India's fresh water is used for agriculture, which has led to crisis in several states including Punjab, Haryana, and western Uttar Pradesh. 10% of the rural water bodies are now no longer fit for consumption purposes. Demand for energy. The combustion of fuels like coal, lignite, oil, etc. in industries has been a major source of pollution in addition to emission of greenhouse gases. These have increased ecological problems and health problems like cancer risk, respiratory diseases, and other health problems. In 1984, a toxic gas leak from Union Carbide India Limited, a pesticide plant, exposed thousands of people to methyl isocyanate, causing loss to thousands of lives, injuries, and severe health issues for the survivors. Greenhouse gases emissions by India are the third largest in the world, with main reason being combustion of coal. The Air Quality Index shows India is the home to 63 out of 100 most polluted cities, with New Delhi occupying the topmost position. Poverty. It is amongst the consequences of population growth. Lack of opportunities for employment in villages and unequal distribution of resources is leading to an ever-increasing movement of poor families to towns. Mega cities are emerging and urban slums are expanding. Mumbai, being the second most urbanized city after Delhi according to 2023, it is the home to Asia's largest slum, Dharavi. Dharavi has an area of just over 2.39 square kilometer and population of about 10 lakhs. Such rapid and unplanned expansion of cities has resulted in degradation of urban environment. Improper waste management. India generates 277 million tons of municipal solid waste every year. India generates 227 million tons of municipal solid waste every year. It is estimated that by 2030, it is likely to reach 387.8 million tons and will more than double the current value by 2050. Currently, about 5% of the total collected waste is recycled, 18% is composted, and the remaining are dumped at landfill sites. According to the Central Pollution Control Board, India currently produces more than 25,000 tons of plastic waste every day on average, which accounts for almost 6% of the total solid waste generated in the country. Stress on land. India confronts severe pressure on agricultural land. As said before, to fulfill the demands of food, energy and housing, land is both intensified for agriculture, supported by technical developments such as HYV seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, herbicides, etc., by cutting natural forests, and also by using available agricultural land for construction of houses, rail tracks and roads. All these culminate to unavailability of land and degraded quality of available land. Loss of biodiversity. The country is home to 4 major biodiversity hotspots: the Himalayas, the Western Ghats, the Sundarland, including Nicobar Islands, and the Indo-Burma region. According to a 2021 report by Center for Science and Environment, India has already lost almost 90% of the area under these hotspots. Within these hotspots, 25 species have become extinct in recent years. Due to water contamination, 16% of India's freshwater fishes, mollusks, dragonflies, damselflies, and aquatic plants are threatened with extinction. India lost 19% of its total tree cover. Climate change and global warming. Although climate change and global warming is a global issue, with respect to India, the country has been ranked 4th amongst the others who were affected by climate change. It was observed that the temperatures have risen by 0.7 degrees Celsius between 1901 and 2018. Major heat waves were observed in India and Pakistan in the year 2022, with temperatures rising to 51 degrees Celsius. Moving on to the next section, let us discuss on population growth and environmental changes in context of Assam. Assam is a state in northeast India which has a geographical area of 78,438 square kilometers. It is rich in mineral resources like coal, petroleum, limestone, natural gas, etc. Oil India Limited occupies the position of second largest hydrocarbon exploration and production company, headquarters in Duliajan, Assam. Assam is one of the richest biodiversity hotspots in the world, comprising of tropical rainforests, deciduous forests, riverine grasslands, bamboo orchards, wetlands, etc. The state is also famous for tea cultivation, contributing to 1/7 of global tea production. Assam's agriculture makes the highest contribution to its domestic sectors, contributing to income and employment of 69% of its workforce. Assam has a population which is expected to increase from 34.18 million in 2021 to 35.60 million by 2026. Even though population is an asset, but its growth has led to exploitation of resources and biodiversity. Forest areas have been decreasing due to illegal migration and encroachment. Deforestation due to increase in demand for land under cultivation and other uses has put enormous strain on the barren soil. Improper waste disposal and constant exposure to erosion has rendered the land completely useless. Since heavy rainfall is a common occurrence in Assam, the state becomes prone to landslide and flood. Degradation of catchment areas due to deforestation, jhum cultivation or slash and burn agriculture, lack of proper control on land use, etc. has contributed to lot of these floods and landslides. Moreover, there is a congestion in drainage of excess water. Which is caused by haphazard construction of roads, rails, embankments, and human settlement in ravine areas. As already mentioned before, Assam is rich in mineral resources. The state has made a name for itself as the largest producer of crude oil in India. But on June 9, 2020, the Bhadjan oil field under Oil India Limited in Tinsukia district of Assam was engulfed in fire. Leakage of methane gas was determined to be the cause of it. The explosion lasted for more than 5 months. The nearby biodiversity landscape of Dibru-Soykha lost 55% of its diversity, along with complete devastation of 1,632 hectares of land, 523 hectares of grassland, and 172 hectares of rivers and streams, and 172 hectares of rivers and streams, and 213 hectares of forest. 3 human lives consisting of a young engineer and 2 firemen of Oil India Limited were lost. Wildlife listed under the Wildlife Protection Act also died due to the explosion. Aftermath the explosion, inquiries and remedial measures were deployed by Assam and the Union government. National Green Tribunal also made a case against Oil India Limited for damage to the environment and local livelihood because of the disaster. In the following section, we will discuss about some efforts that are taken by policymakers as means to reduce negative impact on the environment. For developing and developed nations, solutions point to 2 different directions. Slow population increase in developing nations while changing the destructive consumption patterns in developed countries are always in a debate. Culminating these factors together, effective measures benefiting both can be made as a means to protect the environment. These measures include promotion of effective family planning measures, effective rural development to slow down rural-urban migration, sustainable consumption levels, and use of cleaner technologies. In India, efforts are taken in the form of the following few measures. The odd-even regulation. It is a traffic regulation measure which allows vehicles ending with odd numbers to operate on given dates and even numbers on the other dates. Ban on use of coal, reuse of treated wastewater, ban on manufacture, sale, distribution, and single use of plastic from 1st July 2022, and so on are some of the efforts taken by the government of India. There are various global, national, and local measures to protect the environment, and all of them has been clearly discussed in the module 33, Environmental Policies and Environmental Protection in India. Please refer to it in the upcoming presentations. Dear learners, with that we have come to the end of today's module. I hope you have understood the discussion so far. We discussed about the interrelationship between population size, distribution and composition with environment, furthering our discussion on the same in context of India, followed by the state of Assam in particular. We ended with a brief discussion on role played by policymakers. Thank you so much for the time, dear learners. The next module would be on major environmental concerns and threat to human population.